Hello YouTube. We have for some reason people are following these dumb videos that I'm making on YouTube. So I figured, what the hell, we're gonna make some videos. One of my favorite things lately is actually kind of looking at tools. What makes them good, what makes them bad. You'll see there are a lot of videos online where people will say, how good is this wrench? Can I put like 2,000 foot-pounds on this 10mm wrench and break it? And if I break it, then it's a bad tool. Nobody's going to do that. That's stupid. The other thing people will do is, well, let's get the best case scenario for all of these guys. Get a brand new shiny grade 8.8, or in metric it's class. I'm sorry, no, it's grade 8 in SAE. In metric, it's 8.8, or 10.9. You can flame me down in the comments. What I want to do here is actually look at just some practical stuff. How a tool works. I mean, a lot of people say how it feels in the hand, or how it works. And there are a few little kind of tests that I've been doing lately to see what wrenches work and what don't. I had fortunate to get some secondhand SnapOn combos that really opened my eyes to the difference between a good wrench and a bad wrench. Not saying these are all bad wrenches. Actually, I'm going to say one kind of sucks, but these are, what I'm going to do today is we're going to look at this brand new Tekton 10mm 6-point ratchet flex head. I wanted to check these out, so I just bought the 10mm. I've had forever. I've had the first ratcheting box wrench that I bought at Lowe's when they were stupid expensive. But this is a GearWrench, Classic GearWrench 10mm flex head. These wrenches are amazing. I love these things. There are some jobs on some newer Volvos that are supposedly really hard. This flex head turns it into a joy because you can just bend it and you can get behind things, do whatever you want. I mean, it's perfect. It's great. Next tool I have is the same tool, but it's a Stubby that I got just for reaching down in there and loosening belt tight tensioners and whatnot. So the test that I'm going to do is we're going to listen to the ratchet, and we're going to see how well a used fastener stays in these heads. A lot of people, if I zoom in on this guy, you'll note that no modern wrench is a pure hex anymore. The reason for that is they all take advantage of the flank drive that SnapOn patented in the 60s, expired in 88. Everyone else can use it. And so what that means is that these are all bowed. Each edge is bowed, and the reason for that, and there's actually a little cutout for the point. And what that does is it keeps the point of the wrench from, or the fastener from getting rounded off by the hex of the wrench. And so everyone's taking advantage of that. Let's see if we can zoom in here. I don't know if we're gonna be able to focus. If I had a nice, let's try this. Let's see if we can, whoop, everybody's moving. So let's see. So, and you can kind of see that cutout there. So when people use calipers to try and measure the precision of a wrench, it's a crapshoot because it measures on where they're measuring. It's basically a rounded thing. The profile actually makes a huge difference on how it grabs the head of the fastener. But what you're going to notice is that when people use calipers, their results are meaningless. I mean, look at the cutouts for the corners of the fastener to not get grabbed. It's almost irrelevant how big those are. So that doesn't matter. So off my high horse, that there's a lot of information on YouTube about wrenches, but they're just not practical. So one of the tests I kind of developed is to say, hey, why use a brand new fastener that you just got? Because that's not what you're going to see in the field. You're not going to see a brand new fastener. This is I believe this is a water pump fastener off a 4-cylinder Volvo engine. And the test that I use, let's pull this out again, hopefully this will work. But I like putting the fastener in and trying to rotate it off center. So if I can rotate that off center, and you can actually, if you zoom in here, you could basically see, if we'd focus, you can kind of get a feel for how much deflection you're getting out of this fastener. So this Tekton wrench is actually really tight. Got it brand new today. Used it for 4 license plate fasteners, and it's pretty good. What I don't like is that if I push in or pull, this thing is so graunchy. And if I pull in, I can actually sometimes get it to go backwards a tooth. It's just such, I mean, it's almost unusable. I mean, it takes so much force to turn this that you, I mean, even the old trick where you put a finger over the wrench while you're tightening it, I mean, it's not enough. This is just, I mean, this is a crappy eaten up fastener. So it passes the how well does it grab test. And the reason this test is important is that when you have the wrench on a fastener, deep in the bowels of an engine, you want it to grab that fastener and not flop off. And it's positive. Then you can just put the effort into turning the tool and getting this done, getting the fastener out. So that's why this is important. If a wrench grabs the fastener well, it saves you a ton of work. You don't have to put a little English on the wrench, kind of twist it so that it doesn't pop off. So let's contrast this with, this should be about a 14-year-old GearWrench. One of the first ones I ever bought, and I was really poor at the time. And this was a big purchase for me, so I paid $60 for 10 to 16 millimeters. Now let's test this thing out. This guy's gotten a ton of use, and right away, it's a sloppy fit. You can look, I can actually rotate the fastener right out of there. If I put enough English on, I can actually just twist this out, and I mean, it's a flange screw, so it's going in the same place. And yes, we're comparing apples to oranges, 6-point, 12-point, but the 12-point's got the disadvantage. On the other hand, listen to how well this guy moves. It's very smooth, so when you're trying to, you know, ratchet backwards, you're not turning the fastener backwards with it. If you push in on it or pull out and twist it, it's still, I mean, the ratcheting mechanism is just incredibly good. This wrench being a 10 millimeter, I'm a Volvo mechanic, so this wrench gets used on positively everything. Even the open end has proven to be really good. I'd argue it's even better than our favorite Craftsman 10 millimeter wrenches when they were made in the US of A. So this gear wrench being used is good on one, good ratchet, bad on the other. It's actually sloppy. And I didn't really notice how much I was fighting this tool until I started comparing it to some other wrenches. So this, when you get on there, especially if you have a fastener and it's not a flange screw, and actually the wrench can kind of get through it, you wind up fighting to keep this on there as you're trying to turn the wrench. So not so good. But it's a nice wrench. And that begs the question. So we're going to look at my Stubby, which is kind of old, but being a Stubby, it doesn't get a ton of use. Same ratcheting guts, same everything. And what this is going to show us is that mechanically, the part of the tool that grabs the fastener is simply worn out. So I'm going to do this again. So this is my Stubby. We're going to pop this in, and you can see that and again, I'm not trying to manipulate the results here. This is very grabby for a wrench. So it's doing great. It's the same, probably the exact same part that is in this older wrench, but this wrench is much newer. So doing the work, and again, these gear wrenches are actually silky smooth. I'm not a tool snob. I have a ton of Tekton stuff. I have Tekton impact sockets. I could pull, if I needed to prove the fact that I like Tekton stuff, I could put down and prove my point with a bunch of tools. Feel free to call me out on that. But the gear wrench is much better, and this one's got some use on it. This one's been used for 4 fasteners today. But the gear wrench is just, the ratcheting mechanism is fantastic. It's a 12-pointer. It's just as grabby as a 6-point. And I mean, this is demonstrating that the gear wrench, I think, is the better tool. And they are comparable in price. I mean, this is like a $20 wrench. I'm glad I did it, because I almost bought a bunch, because this guy's worn out. And I thought, you know, it's probably time to replace these, as they are getting a bit worn. And I decided I will definitely not be doing the Tekton route. Begs another question, actually. This is really kind of a fun one. So if we look at these, and you think about it, the way that these are set up is to, rather than grab the point of the fastener, you can't really see it on here because this is an old chewed up fastener. Since tools are wrenches, at least since Snap-on's patent expired, they're not designed to grab the point anymore. They're designed to grab the flat next to the point. I wish I had a clean fastener to show you. And since that's the case, I've had an old friend who was a professional mechanic for years, and he's a big fan of 12-point tools. And I always questioned him on that until I realized how that these tools are grabbing the edge, the flat next to the point. So if you think about it, how many points you have is kind of redundant, since the tool is just grabbing the flat next to the point. It's not grabbing the point. So it starts to kind of become a wash as to whether or not you're going for a 12-pointer or a 6-pointer. If we're getting into sort of shape analysis here too, I'm going to say that there are a lot of different shapes for these kind of off-point drives. Some are better, some are worse. Snap-on is amazing. I can't afford many of their tools, but I have some of their combo wrenches, and they are unbelievable. So far, very few tools are able to copy that, at least in a box-end wrench. But enough off my high horse. So what can we say in summary? And if you're listening to me so far, I'm going to say, out of the box, Tekton is just, I don't know, I was surprised because I've had, it's actually really hard to rotate this. And listen to that. I mean, it was popping pawls on me, like going in reverse by accident. So I'm let down by this Tekton offering. I have tons of Tekton stuff. Love a lot of their tools. Gear wrench, this old 10mm is simply worn out. The ratchet mechanism, if you listen to that, there's actually not much backlash in there, or whatever the engineering term is for backlash in wrenches. It's pretty good, but worn out. Mechanically, it's worn. This is a much newer 10mm, just a stubby. And if I turn it right, same thing. You can just hear that, especially if I twist it in my hand. It still sounds good. Fastener goes in tight. I think 12-point versus 6-point is probably overrated. And I used to be a diehard 6-point wrench guy until this winter, when I really started looking at wrenches. And my mind was kind of boggled when I realized that a good 12-point can be better than a bad 6-point. But again, we'll listen to this. And it's just grunching. It's not even consistent. And if I twist it, and you can just, yeah, yuck. All right, so I'm sure this is going to be a flame war or something, but that's my take, and you're welcome to disagree. But anyway, thanks for watching. If you got through my 15-minute video, then you are a special person, and I appreciate it. Have a good day. Stay safe during these times. Better stay home, wrench on cars, have fun.